Coach and Nick from Echo Base Network. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight at Echo Base TV, where community happens. Echo Base Network. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight at Echo Base TV, where community happens.
Welcome back, guys, to another Friday afternoon EBN Cast live stream. John Trent will be along shortly. Sorry for the little late start. We were held up just a little bit, but we are here for another EBN Cast. Glad to see all of you guys here. Make sure you smash that like button, guys. And let's see here. There's something else I wanted to bring up. Well, I'll do that in a minute. Loki, Culture, how you guys doing?
Good. Doing good.
Yeah.
Yep, we got some good topics for you guys today. As you guys know, each panelist here brings a topic that they want to hit on.
I like pepperoni. That's my favorite.
I like
topic.
turtles. I'm like Tom. I like turtles.
I'm bringing pepperoni for my topping. So.
Did you get you something to eat, Culture?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, sweet. Guys, real quick. There's 4 ways you guys can support us here on the EBN Cast, EBN memberships, Patreon, where we post tons of stuff that we cannot put over here on YouTube. We're going through the Penguin show right now. The Ahsoka fan edit cut is up there, which we're actually going to be doing a watch party on Discord at some point in time. So definitely check out Patreon. And you can actually just follow us on Patreon if you don't want to be a paid Patreon member. You guys can follow us over there. Links for all that stuff is in the description. Our merch store that Coach works so hard on, making great shirts. And then, of course, super chats. If there's any topics or anything you guys want to hear us hit on that we're not covering, that is a great way to do that. And then the 5th and final way that's not listed on here, just being here and smashing that like button. So everybody, let's start off. Loki, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your channel, what you got going on.
I'm Stone Cold Loki. I'm over at Loki's Mornings of Mischief. We go live at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. We usually have a Friday night show, but not tonight. I have to be in Galveston by like 8 a.m. tomorrow. So that means I got to get up at like 6:30 and get out of here as quickly as possible so I can get there before traffic happens. So yeah, no late show tonight, but come by the morning show, hang out, check us out, talk about all kinds of stuff.
Yep, Loki does a great morning show, guys. Monday through Friday, every day of the week. He is so committed. Like I remember we were in Dallas, and he's like, "Gotta get the stream ready, gotta be up, and I'm like, "Dude, we're like on vacation." And he's like, "No, gotta do the show, gotta do the
Think
show."
about
Man.
Vegas. I had to get up at like 5:30 a.m. in Vegas to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, guys, real quick, Loki, I know you've talked about this a little bit. How's everything going with your GoFundMe and all that sort of stuff?
The GoFundMe is done. It's still up because I want everybody to see the comments and I want everybody to get updates, but the GoFundMe is complete.
Okay.
I just saw the urologist yesterday, and there's some stuff in my system they've got to figure out. So I'm going to be going back for more tests. I have a kidney doctor appointment on the 15th of next month, and I've got a hematology appointment next month, and I'm going to have to go see another guy. So it's just like one after the other, the other. Plus, I'm still dealing with the broken foot. That got broke back end of June, beginning of July, and it is not healed. So I'm looking at fun, wonderful things to deal with that too. So yay me. I get to juggle doctor after doctor after doctor. But that's pretty much what's going on. That's your update.
I hate going to the doctor. I avoid it at all costs if possible. Culture, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you got going on coming up.
Well, I apparently don't have nearly as much going on as Loki. You can find me at my own YouTube channel at Culture Casino on YouTube, Rumble, Mindsgetter, Odyssey, and Twitter. It's pretty simple. Culture Casino. Please look me up if you haven't already. Check out the channel. I do daily, it seems like, videos plus daily live streams of various types, including a Sunday late night show that's not really all that late for most people, except on the East Coast. We've got lots of great merchandise on our own merchandise store, so you can check out beachpunk.com. It's a lot of fun. My buddy Loki actually has got a hat. Nick apparently doesn't want to support me at all. Pretty clear.
I didn't know anything about this. You got any like hats, like regular hats?
Yeah, I'm wearing one. This is my rooster hat right here. So right. I'm joshing.
I'll get on there and order one.
No, we got all kinds of merch and stuff like that. Most of the merch on there is not even like related to anything like YouTube. It is 100% outside of my little tiki icon here. It's all oriented around beach punk, the beach punk style, the beach punk mood. So do check that out. Very happy with what we're doing over there on the site. And that's pretty much it. I'm simple. Hey, Emily, good to see you, dear. And and the other thing that I do that most of you be familiar with, and even my buddy Loki up there is that game place. That's right. It's the website that I work with that Park Place on. The video platform on YouTube. You can check that out. We're gonna hopefully have a little sub menu here pretty soon just for our gaming stories that we will be contributing to. I'm starting to write for them again. So I'll be writing probably more game stories than anything else. So do check that out. That Park Place will have more of that game place on there. So it'll be a lot of fun.
The life of retirement, being able to do YouTube full time. I'm jealous.
I tell you what, I may have to go back to work to pay for some of the stuff that I'm doing for YouTube. I was like looking at it. But no, I fortunately right now we're getting great support from the fans, and we of course have memberships on my channel, and we will have them over on that game place. And those channels are starting to build. I appreciate the support, and if you just want real video game news, then check out that game place. We don't pull any punches, do we, Loki?
No, we do not. A lot of trash fires, keeping our hands warm by the fire when it's cold outside. We can always count on Ubisoft and other companies like that to warm our hands.
We're talking about some gaming stuff today, tangentially. But anyway, thanks, Nick, for having me on again. And let's fire it up, bro.
Yep. Also, you guys can catch me in Culture every Tuesday and Thursday on Mr. H Reviews. So if you guys are not subbed to Mr. H Reviews, definitely go check him out. And I wasn't expecting this. I'm just going to bring him in for a quick second. Coach is here.
Hey,
He is in the background modding, and it looks like his internet is funny because he's kind of choppy. I'm guessing your mic doesn't work.
I think he's frozen.
Yeah. All right. Well, Coach is here, guys. He is in the background. He is modding in the chat. All right. He just added himself back in. Are you there? Do you want to say
that better?
something?
hey.
Oh, okay. We can hear you now.
Yeah. Houston,
I'm
hello.
here. I'm in the background. Great to see you guys and have a good show. And I'll just be modding.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Sweet. All right, guys. First topic of the day. I literally just saw this this afternoon. This actually dropped yesterday. Ghostbusters director confirms future movies are in the works. This comes from The Direct. And I'm not going to read the whole article, but I'm going to read just a couple snippets out of here. If you guys want to check out this entire article, feel free to go over to The Direct. It says, well, some may have doubted it. The writer behind the latest Ghostbusters film confirmed that there are active discussions about telling more stories in the franchise on the big screen. Ghostbusters, The Frozen Empire followed the Spangler family, led by an incredible cast, including Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon, as they moved to New York City and took on the apocalyptic threat of, how do you say that, Garaka? Anyways, a demonic spirit who threatened to freeze the entire world. The movie was released in March of this year and received a lukewarm reception, earned roughly $201 million worldwide at the box office against its reported production budget of $100 million. So with marketing, I'm guessing that they probably broke even on that. If they made anything, it was probably very little. More Ghostbuster films are on the way. An exclusive interview with The Direct, Russ Milliam, while promoting his new movie Saturday night, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire director Gil confirmed that there will be more films in the iconic franchise. We definitely are continuing the conversation of telling big Ghostbuster stories on the big screen. Kanan assured the answer is yes. Jason Reitman, we take the responsibility and the joy of being the keepers of the flame of Ghostbusters very seriously. We definitely are continuing the conversation of telling big Ghostbuster stories on the big screen. And stay tuned. There'll be more. There'll be more about that later. Are we going
to get more than 5 minutes of Bankman this time?
Probably not. And they actually talk about that later on here in this article. They're apparently working on an animated Ghostbuster series on Netflix also that the director's working on with Jason Reitman. He further teased that the show will intersect with the Ghostbuster stories that everyone loves. But speaking on that, they said it could go one of two ways. The story could continue the story of the Spangler family and officially position them as the faces of the franchise now. After all, it could be good to leave the OG cast members out of the next installment and just focus on the new blood. And then they go on some more in here, but that's really where I wanted to hit on is I don't think it's a good idea to leave the OG cast out. I mean, I'm fine with the kids, but man, I go to see the OG cast when I saw this movie and then the one, what was the one before it?
Afterlife.
Yeah. I went to go see that solely for the OG cast. So I would like to see them play a part in it for sure.
Well, I don't see how they can actually justify making more of these. I mean, Afterlife cost them $75 million. They made quite a bit of money on it. But this one didn't make money at all. It lost a bunch of money. It was a $100 million budget on a promotion budget of near $80 million. They needed to make $360 million to be, break even. This was not a good use of money, and not a lot of people went to see it. You only had a $200 million earnings globally. how are you justifying making another film? Are you going to make it for 50 million? You have to remember, Ghostbusters 2 cost $45 million to make, and that was done way a long time ago. It was also one of the most expensive films made at the time at 45 million. It was amazing they could put the Afterlife together for 75 million. But this film, they spent 100 million on it. There's diminishing returns here. I don't know if you've seen, they're spending more money and they're making less. That's not good. And I mean, I don't see what the appeal is. I don't find the kids particularly compelling. The podcast being gone he was fun for, a few minutes here and there, but the fact that he really didn't have anything to do with this most recent one. And then, they leaned into the ideology stuff very slightly, apparently cut some of it out so you didn't get the wrong impression about the girls' relationship and some other things like that. I thought it was a fine film, but I thought it was awfully boring. And it was driven largely because I was not invested in the ancillary storytelling. And you're not, I mean, the instincts they have are not wrong. There were too many people in the film. There's no lies there. But the format was all over the place. What was it, was it a Parent Trap kind of movie? Was it a a body swapping movie? Was it what was the movie? And it didn't have an audience. This is the other problem, right? They need to figure out which audience they're catering to. If you're catering to a younger audience, you're going to need to have more compelling younger characters that they don't have. That Finn fella is not super exciting, and the girl that plays Phoebe, I guess, in there, anything else she's in, she's good. She's not very good in. So it's just, I mean, let's just be fair. The character is kind of boring and milquetoast and kind of a replacement for who her grandpa would have been. And I think they're tipping the wrong direction. They really need Bill Murray, and they really need Dan Aykroyd to be way more visible and way more engaged, because they want these to be not horror films. Well, guess what, kids? Ghostbusters was originally a horror film. So was Ghostbusters 2, and it just happened to be an action horror film. And it had, the comedy, best actors at the time. Yeah, the best actors at the time there. I really wish they'd have gone with the original Instinct. I know I'm spilling a lot of stuff right now, but I would have gone with the original thing, and I would have had Winston just be like a franchiser, just putting up these Ghostbusters things like franchises, and that way at least you could have introduced the characters in a different way. Some of the people that we'd love to have back, I don't know if they're going to come back. We'll see. Anyway, it is what it is, but those are my thoughts, and they were long-winded. I apologize.
No, it's fine. And before we get Loki's thoughts on this, let's welcome John F. Trent to the show. Hail, good sir. How you doing?
Hey, John.
Hey, how's it going?
So we are talking about the Ghostbusters director confirms future movies are in the works. Article from the Direct. I don't know if have you heard anything? Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't really been paying attention to Ghostbusters for the most part. I really like the first movie. I think the second movie is solid. I think the Statue of Liberty scene is epic in the second movie. But I agree with what Culture was saying. They definitely need to get back to kind of that horror vibe. I think that is where a lot of that stuff works, because that stuff can kind of be real too, right? We have basically possession and demon possession in the second one, and that's super creepy. And that stuff can happen. And I think that then you have this destroyer who wants to basically kill everyone. So and it's you got Satanists creating designing a tower over the course of multiple years and long-term plans and things like that. That stuff is scary. And then obviously though you have the comedy aspects to it, but I 100% agree with Culture. It needs to go back to the kind of that supernatural horror that the franchise is known for. But then obviously you have these jolly warriors. These guys are jolly warriors for the most part, that they bring that kind of laughter. They laugh in the face of evil. And they almost are kind of like the whole scene where he's I was just trying to think of the most tame thing I possibly could. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And they're just kind of, they face evil with that kind of salt of the earth, and with almost like a joy, like we're gonna beat this, doesn't matter, like facing down this kind of ultimate destruction. So I think there's something to that we kind of underestimate or maybe not appreciate so much with those, especially the first Ghostbusters movie and the second one. And I didn't see 2016. They told me that wasn't for me, didn't watch it. And then I didn't really watch the other ones just because of kind of how that 2016 movie kind of tainted the franchise for me. So
Afterlife was fairly decent. I agree with Culture on the last one. You know, and even Coach, when he went and saw it, he was like, "Are we about to get a kid lesbo makeout relationship scene here?" Now, a lot of other people didn't see it that way and didn't get that from it, but a lot of people out there did. I thought it was kind of going in that direction. I was like, what's going on with these two? The Phoebe character and then the ghost lady that she was, you know, chit-chatting with. But yeah, I also agree with what Culture was saying on all this. Loki, thoughts on more Ghostbusters?
I'll quote Ray from Ghostbusters 2. We should have padded her feet. I don't think they make Nikes in her size, Ray. They have to pad this with something. It said on your article, kind of where we stopped. Many of the fans have clamored for the old OG cast to get out of the way. Who exactly are those fans? Please tell me where they are, because everyone I know, everyone I've talked to is like, we needed more of the OG cast in the second movie. That only getting 5 minutes of Bankman, only getting a couple minutes here. Now that first Afterlife, that was completely understandable because of the setup. You love the fact that they came back at the end. You love the fact that you saw Ghost Egon standing there with them, the four boys back together again. You know, the boys are back in town and kicking butt and taking names. That was beautiful. The second movie it's like they didn't even need to be there. There was no story element where it was like they really need to be there. Maybe Winston, because he's the one who owns all this stuff. So yeah, Winston, but Bankman didn't need to be there. Ray didn't need to be there. They could have done whatever.
wait,
So if
they
you're
made
going to
Egon a
bring-
ghost?
Yeah, in
Afterlife.
Afterlife.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awful.
you know, because the actor's
Sorry.
dead in real life, so and
It looked really good, and they did it really tasteful. He didn't say anything. He didn't talk. He just kind of like
the ghosts
added
are
his-
negative energy. Like they're bad. That's what they are. They're like this negative energy that's being released, right? That they have to like capture and contain. Like,
well,
him
he got
becoming a ghost is awful. Like, is someone like manipulating him? Like,
well, he got
what's
stuck
going on?
there because it all goes back to the very first movie, and what was his name, Vigo Shandor or whatever. Basically, they hunted down Egon and took him out because he had unfinished business. He was still around. So they did it really good. They did that first movie, Afterlife. They did it
Oh,
really,
there
really
is
good.
negative energy then, so they do kind of explain it that way. Okay,
But the second movie, I don't know. They got to pad her feet. They have to pad the feet with something because otherwise nobody cares. Nobody gives a crap. And once that gets out, oh, well, they're only in the movie for like a couple minutes and they don't really do anything and there's no point. People get bummed out and they're immediately like, I don't even want to watch this. There's a bunch of stuff I hear about. In fact, that'll come up with my topic where I'm like, I don't even want to watch it. I don't want to see it. I've heard enough. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want something I love completely pooed on because they've got a fetish of destroying whatever franchise they're working on at the moment.
Yeah.
Do they still have the business? Like, is the Ghostbusters a business? Like, actually,
Winston
like,
does.
Okay.
Yeah,
Winston
owns
ends
it.
up.
It's back in the firehouse from the originals.
That should be a home run. I mean, obviously, you can turn it into kind of like a crime detective case where they're actually having to do like investigative stuff, like which we saw that in the first one, right? They're investigating the various ghost appearances. Like you have that kind of like montage that they do for a lot of them. I mean, you could actually kind of draw that out and have like a really kind of long drawn out investigative work where maybe there's like all of these kind of ghosts are leading up to this other big thing that's happening It seems like that the stuff kind of writes itself. So it shouldn't be too hard to do, especially if you kind of, as Culture was saying, you still have these like Ghostbuster franchises. And if you do have these Ghostbuster franchises, you can obviously set them in different areas outside of New York. So you're not constantly in that New York setting. Like I can imagine maybe like they hear about the Ghostbusters in New York and then someone comes to them from, I don't know, wherever they like California or Arizona or Montana or whatever. And so then you have the Ghostbusters kind of deploying there too. I mean, there's so many options that they could do that would stay true to it. I mean, I could see that would be kind of fun, like a Ghostbusters out in like Montana or something on like a ranch. And there's all kinds of like creepy stuff happening.
They go to like Skinwalker Ranch and investigate that, like real world stuff, you know, like
farmhouse or something. Like
Ghost Adventures, you know.
Well, if they did something like that, and it was like almost like a parody on reality TV, if they could get Rick Moranis to come back and like host that, you're on the Ghostbusters, you know, and he's the one that's like talking to the audience, and our crew was in Philadelphia and did this and da. That would be, I mean, that would be
universe reality show. Yeah.
Yes.
Like in the that would be really cool.
With Rick Moranis as the host, just, I mean, he could do all of his lines in a day.
And as far as the kids go, it's sort of like Cobra Kai. Like I'm fine with the kids and the other characters in the Cobra Kai series. But if you take Daniel and Johnny's story arc out of that and focus on just them, I'm just not as interested. Yep. And it's sort of the same thing here. I'm fine with the kids in the new Ghostbuster films. I mean, these films are night and day difference from Ghostbusters 2016. And I liked both of the films. I didn't love them. And I had issues with them, but yeah, they're definitely night and day difference. And if they just move just to the kids, for me personally, I just don't know if I'm gonna be that interested in seeing their storylines continue.
I think if they actually start, like, I mean, are they Ghostbusters? Like, officially, do they work for the company? Like,
yeah,
I guess that's kind of
they kind of established that in this last movie. In the Phoebe, the younger girl, you know, she couldn't be a part of it because, you know, the workman's comp or the work insurance or whatever wouldn't cover because she's not old enough to basically be working there or something. And they go through this whole thing where she has to wait till she turns 18 or something.
So Walter Peck's granddaughter is like trying to shut the Ghostbusters down again.
Yeah.
You know how much that movie, I don't even remember. I remember movies like, I mean, I'll pull stuff out of the hat. You name it, movie wise, I can do it. I can't remember half this movie. I remember that one dude that was like, I have power at the end of the movie, but he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And again, consider that versus how many times you've seen Ghostbusters or Ghostbusters 2, and the fact that you can literally quote it almost line for line at certain points, right? Yeah. It has one of the greatest scenes ever in it, in the elevator. It is a scene that's been used to document and idealize what it is to make very competent short scenes that deliver not only, you know, entire, you know, pages of plot, but it basically outlines the characters even further. It gives you development, and you can't do it any better than that one elevator scene where they turn on the nuclear accelerators. Right. So it's just, there's no other way to do that, you know, and you can't do that in modern film. Well, no writers can now. Nobody can script a film like that. We're starting to see more and more of a disconnect between the storytellers and the audience because we don't have storytellers anymore. We have propagandists. And that's kind of what started to leak in a little bit into, you know, Reitman's screenplay, this most recent one with whoever he was co-writing it with. It's just, wow, there's a little bit of this, you know, well, maybe the studio forced this ideology in here, but there was enough of it that you could see it. The stink of it was there, and it didn't make for a very compelling film. And because they need all the diversity boxes checked, they had too many actors in this. Because they needed to keep the originals in place. Well, that's too many white people. That's too many, it's too many white pale males. We got to get rid of those. So we got to counterbalance this. Let's chickify it up. So, it's a problem. And then again, as long as we've eliminated creativity from filmmaking, and giving the artistic license to the artist, you're going to end up with things that are less compelling, which is why you can't remember the people that are in there, or you can't remember a standout line or anything like that. I don't think there was a standout line in the last two movies. Can you think of one?
I can't.
No,
I can't at all.
but you had so many good people working on it. You had Reitman, you had Raimi, you had not Bill Murray, but Ray.
Oh, Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd, thank you. You had Dan Aykroyd. You had them write up a script in like a weekend, and then they evolved it and they worked on it, and then they had, and I keep saying this all the time, they had a studio that was like, guys, go and do it. Just do it fast. So at the end of the day, they weren't sitting there constantly over their shoulders saying, you can't say that. You can't joke about this. You can't joke about that. You can't make people laugh about this. You can't do that. They just let them work and let them do their job. And like a quarter of the movie's improv anyway, where they kind of improv the lines. They didn't go word for word. They made up their own jokes. They did their own thing. These are guys who did this live on TV for years, the good way back in the day, not the crap you got now, but the SNL oddball craziness transferred completely over to Ghostbusters. So you had a crew of geniuses working on that movie. Now, what do you got? You've got a guy and you've got a corporation behind you saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't joke about this. You have to have this in your movie. We have to DEI, we have to blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, guys, let them do the movie. Vince Vaughn was just talking about that the other day. He was like, they just gave us the keys when we made Old School and Wedding Crashers. The studio didn't care. They just said, here's the keys to the house. Go have fun. And we threw one heck of a party while doing it. They're not allowed to do that now. They're just handcuffed. Yep.
The best sequel to the original Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters trilogy, is Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and Ghostbusters the video game that incorporated stuff from the Ghostbusters 3 script into the game and had all the original actors, all of them, all four of them in the doing all the voice work for the game. I don't know if you guys have played that, but it's a really good game if you're a Ghostbusters fan. But anyways, let's move on real quick. Let's hit these. Olaf, master moderator out there, member for 37 months. So this will be with the second gen. So this will be with the second gen of Ghostbusters. We don't know.
Third gen, if you count 2016, right?
Oh, well, yeah. If you count 2016, I guess it would be third gen. But we don't know yet. They're basically saying that we'll get some more info on all that later, but it is in the works. They are working on it. So we'll see what they end up doing. Staccato DDS is in the house. Welcome, good sir. Has gifted 10 Echo Base Network memberships. Everybody that got a free membership, give Staccato DDS a shout out, and welcome to the EBN member family. For all the new channel members that got membership from Staccato, this video is for you guys. Thank you for that, Staccato DDS. You are a true gentleman. Thank you so much.
There's so many epic scenes in Die Hard, man.
Oh god,
so good.
Love it.
I love the scene where the terrorists are like looking through the scope with the rocket launcher, and he's like, I see him.
Yeah, I watched that movie every
Psycho,
single
psycho,
Christmas.
psycho.
It's the best Christmas movie of all time.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
Got a machine gun now.
Yeah. Davish, member for 14 months. Hell to you, good sir. Cheers to 14 months. Hell, EBN. Hell to you, good sir. Thank you for that, guys. Moving on. Loki, what do you got for us?
Well, guys, I love to talk Star Wars when I'm here.
The Trent Lone Trooper.
I love, because this is the only place I actually talk Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because crap, I've been here since like day one. So yay.
I was actually gonna hit this topic, but I always wait to hear what you guys are covering first, because if you guys are gonna do what I'm gonna do, then I'm gonna find something else. Because I don't want you guys to have to be like, oh man, I want to talk about that, and then have to go find something else. I'm fine finding something else. So when I saw Loki was covering this today, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good right here. All right, so what's going on, Loki?
We've heard all kinds of stories. We've heard for over half a decade now. We've heard Disney's gonna course correct. Disney's going to fix things. Disney is going to figure out what's going on and turn things around. Kevin Feige's gonna fix things. You name it, people were supposed to fix things. Little birds were coming down and whispering in people's ear about civil wars and all kinds of crazy nonsense. But this isn't going to change, ladies and gentlemen. This is what Disney is focused on. This is what Disney wants to do. This is what Disney is focused on, is this and the rainbow armor. This is what you get. This is what you're going to get. It doesn't matter who comes around, who leaves, whatever. As long as Disney has control of Star Wars, this is the kind of content you're going to get.
Yeah.
When I heard about this, and I heard about this like over a year ago, and I just kind of rolled my eyes and I was like, what is it in? Oh, it's in a book. Okay, well, it's never gonna. Well, apparently it is. So now they've got Rex speaking about her in The Secret of the Clone Troopers. And he says, one of our kind expressed her gender identity. Question: will the Clankers recognize her identity, or is this going to be just a clone thing? When the clones are like, sister, this way, are the Clankers going to be like, go after the girl? Do they really, do they distinguish between chosen pronouns and all of that? Is that actually going to happen? Is that what we're going to see? Are the Clankers going to know it's a girl, or are they going to treat him like everyone else? This is nuts. This is just nuts. This is crazy. We were told over and over again, this is a space wizard show for kids. This is for kids. It's constantly for kids. The way they defend it is, oh, come on, it's a kid's show. It's a kid movie. It's a blah, blah, blah. Well, then why would you do this in a kid movie?
Because
why would you do this in a kid show?
In the schools, in media, in content like this, they're trying to push this stuff and normalize it, which is just jacking up kids' heads and their mental state. We were talking about this on I think we hit on this on Mr. H's stream yesterday, or not this exact thing, but we were talking about other stuff, and I brought up the fact that we used to have insane asylums and stuff like that here in this country, and now all those people aren't in any kind of mental institutions, and they're out running the streets, and everybody's just trying to be like, oh, that's just how they are, and just trying to normalize it. And I mean, you got kids. I was talking to my brother-in-law last night. One of the guys he flies with, they got their kid in like a swanky private school in Florida somewhere. And they have 2 kids in the class that are furries that identify as cats. And the teacher has to put a litter box in the classroom.
Oh my God.
All around in and stuff. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding? This is the world we live in. Lucasfilm is pushing this kind of crap out there, and so are a lot of other corporations and companies. It's complete trash. anybody with kids, like literally, I'm almost glad I don't have kids, because I'd want to just keep them in the house all the time and not even let them go outside into the world and be exposed to a lot of this stuff. But anyways, culture, thoughts.
Oh no, look, nowadays I just say, of course, whenever something like this comes out, of course.
Yeah,
of course
they're doing this. It's
yeah,
just like
I mean,
normal
it's just
now.
like I can't write a script that would, drive things further down into a hole than what Lucasfilm has done the entire time. I couldn't script it any better than what they're doing. If you want to destroy what you have, do this. And so that at every turn, at every decision making point, at every divide in the path, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, and the story group Baloney Sausage that I despise is going to make the wrong choice.
Yeah.
So again, nobody cares anymore. We're watching ratings of even their somewhat appreciated shows fall off completely. Do you think anybody's coming back after The Acolyte? Do you think seriously? They're going to release some, you're going to have, what was the show that they tried to pretend was popular? Andor what? Or Failure. The second season of that, it's out of people's minds. Disney, all of this stuff is not reactionary enough. This is the problem. Disney got out of the business of making actual television shows. They're now making, miniseries. And they're trying to do it too frequently. They don't have the skills, the personnel, or the talent in place to do it. They can't deliver a show that is, cohesive, let alone,
they're not making
well formed. They're not
propaganda.
Yeah, well, yes, exactly. But nowadays they're one and the same. I mean, did you see the latest Harris, answering candid questions with the questions and answers on the teleprompter? Well done. Anyway, we'll rewind out of politics. Sorry, guys. But the whole thing is
that's what we're talking about, though, right? I mean, this is a clearly political and moral agenda that the Walt Disney Company is pushing.
They're all tied together.
Cultural.
No, they're all tied together. I try to point that out to family members all the time. We're like, what are you talking about? Because they're all interconnected. If you can't see that, you need to wake up, open your eyes, get engaged, And not only that, find your way back to a center, whatever your particular moral center is, find your way back there. Because if you compare your moral center, when you find it again, to everything that's around you, you will be like, this is screwed up and incredibly wrong. And when it comes to Star Wars, like I said, who cares about Andor? Nobody's coming back for that. You've got, who cares if there's going to be a Mandalorian movie? Sorry, I know the Echo Base was primarily a Star Wars channel. I know Coach is probably going to scold me for still associating you with Star Wars.
Coach covered some Lord of the Rings video yesterday.
Good. But you understand my point. It's like there's nothing, there's no positive. Point me at a good Star Wars show. I mean, Skeleton Crew might be relatively inoffensive, but I would warn parents, do not let your kids watch that until you've seen every single episode beginning to end.
100%.
Because you
got to do that with Disney now.
Yeah, you cannot trust Disney to give you, an unadulterated, and literally the word adulterated show. It will be. They are going to force adult ideas into kids' shows. That's not okay. And Skeleton Crew should be, if nothing, just a kids' show. At least that's how it's being presented.
Yeah. And the thing with Andor is there was a lot of people that really liked that show. Mr. H was one of them. He really enjoyed Andor. The thing is that the brand had been damaged so much that most people just didn't care because they already know what happens to the character. He ends up dying in Rogue One, and it just didn't bring enough interest. So regardless whether the Andor was good or not, the brand has brand damage. Skeleton Crew's going to suffer the same fate. Even the Mando Grogu movie, I don't think is going to be some sort of super box office blowout success, 1.5 billion or something. I don't even think it'll hit $1 billion. The brand is so damaged, and Disney has damaged it so bad. It's insane. But John, thoughts on the trans clone trooper that that
Yeah,
Lucasfilm is bringing in.
I wanted to go back to what Loki was saying, and they lie. The Walt Disney Company lies constantly about this. I actually covered this in my coverage of this on the Trent Report as well as on thatparkplace.com. But Bob Iger was saying over the summer that he had removed the company from the culture war. Where are we at now? We're seeing trans clone troopers. Like that's what this company does. They are liars.
And it's funny because I was trying to figure out a way to do a video on this, John. So I mean that's kind of a good entry point right there, is the fact that Bob Iger's a liar. I mean that's it.
And on top of that, this stuff comes from the top. It comes from Bob Iger. Bob Iger is the one who is allowing this to happen. He is approving of it. We know this because the woman who created this character, E.K. Johnston, literally did an interview where she said that her inspiration for the character came from the story group. The story group was the one that requested her put a trans character into a book about Padme.
And they didn't even think their way through that, because let me point this out, because this is the big thing here. If she's defective, then that means that they are making them a defective person because they're this way. If they are not defective and the Caminos scanned him, all good, blah, 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 no defects present, then that makes it a choice. And that goes against everything they say about this, is that it's not a choice, you're born that way. Well, it can't be born that way and not be defective and then make it a choice. So they pushed so hard to do this, they didn't even think about the consequences of what they're trying to put out there in their own views from their own people, because that brings this all down to it's a choice, not something you were born with, not something you come out with, not something any of this. It's a choice. It's a perspective. And somewhere in Django's mind, apparently, there's a Django running around in a hula dress and a pull-up bra running around on Mandalore acting like a girl. Okay, well, then it's a choice.
Yep. And they got the trans colors in there, something from our world. So,
which is also a perversion of the actual like pro-life flag. If you see you know what the pro-life flag is, it's the boy blue, girl pink, like the traditional colors that the blankets the hospitals literally still hand out for boys and girls, with the two tiny baby handprints, and they literally perverted those colors and turned them into this disgusting, destructive flag. I mean, that's what these people do. Tolkien was absolutely right. These people cannot create. All they do is twist and destroy the good in order to serve evil. And that's exactly what we see here. That's what this character is. There is no reason for this character to have ever been created or ever existed. The whole purpose of this character is to push a political agenda. It's not only to push the political agenda, though, but it's also to say we control Star Wars now. Star Wars is no longer about the heroism of Luke Skywalker. It is no longer about the redemption of Darth Vader. It's no longer about the conflict between good and evil. It is now a vehicle for our propaganda. We control this. You don't, and you're going to have to deal with it. It is all about humiliating or attempting to humiliate us. And unfortunately for them, we now recognize this. I think we are aware of this. And what's actually happening is we're turning this back on them, and we're just laughing at them and being like, you're just burning money and no one is actually buying this stuff. And I actually think there are more and more people are waking up to the fact that this is now just propaganda. I think you were kind of talking about that, how the ratings have just completely evaporated for everything across the board when it comes to Star Wars. And even when it comes to Marvel, I mean, the Agatha ratings are absolutely abysmal. Anything that kind of embraces this stuff, we can look in the video games. Concord, complete and utter failure. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, $200 million impairment charge. No one is playing these games. They are
outlaws.
Outlaws, bleeding players. I mean, they were expecting 5 million units sold in the first month for Star Wars Outlaws. The report that we have is they sold 1 million. And remember that 5 million unit number was conservative. That was a conservative estimate. And they only did 20%, if that. That's how damaged they have done to this brand. But again, there is something to the fact that they don't care about that, right? Because they control this IP. They're trying to create the modern audience by pushing a lot of this stuff. I think there is a patronage network. We know that they have this. We know that the Soros Foundation is funding hundreds of $millions into this. We know that there's other probably organizations that are spending lots of money. We know what is that guy's name who's got his like BlackRock. He's literally talking about forcing DEI agendas and talking about how he's going to do that through investment. Yeah. So we know that there is kind of this.
You're talking about Larry Fink.
Yeah, Larry Fink. Thank you. That's his name. That we know that they have these kind of patronage networks where they are literally just trying to fund this stuff, regardless of whether or not it has the return on investment for profitability, because the return on investment isn't the profit incentive, right? It's control, power. That is their return on investment when it comes to this. It's weakening people's minds, because when you start buying into this ideology, you are also a weaker person. You are literally, you can't even discern what is real. You think that men can become women and women become men. And if you are thinking that, like, what else are you thinking that is completely contrary to reality? I mean, that is what's happening here. The Walt Disney Company is part of it, and at the end of the day, they literally want to turn you into like a brain dead person. In like they want to turn you into like the people from the Matrix, where you're literally just in the pod, just being used for energy, and they just thank you for your money. Keep feeding our wheel of evil, basically. And that's basically what they want to turn you into.
Yeah, absolutely. And quick shout out to Raging Rhino in the chat, who made his first visit to the U.S. right into a hurricane. I saw his
in more ways than one. That was in more ways than one, right?
Yeah, I saw his Twitter post of his video where he was recording all the wind and the rain and stuff. It's crazy.
I was referring to his interaction with whatever that person's name is who runs Ripley, writing Ripley or whatever.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, just like all of us other normal people out there, that aren't shilling for every single piece of content that these corporations throw at us. We're all getting into it with other people. They'll keep shilling and we'll keep speaking the truth, and more people are on our side than there's way more of us. Sawyer. Yeah, Sawyer is who it was. And we've had a lot of back and forth with her also in the past. All these other shills out there. But real quick, Lima's Supernatural Haunted Earth member for 15 months. Hell to you, good sir. Die Hard is my Christmas film. It's mine too. As Robert Meyer Burnett would say, we park our shuttlecraft in the same shuttle bay. Hell to you, good sir. Thank you for that. Olaf, for €6. I'm giving Skeleton Crew a chance. I like the Goonies and Stranger Things. This looks like both in space. I mean, I'm fine with the concept, but I have no faith in anything they do. So, we're obviously going to review it for the channel. But I'm not holding my breath that it's going to be anything worth watching at all. More than likely, it's just going to be trash.
Well, it's targeting everybody you think it is. It's targeting the kids. That's primarily, and then the weak-minded adults that still feel like kids, and then of course the fans third. I'm sorry, folks and friends. Everybody here is a Star Wars fan. I know that because this channel is a Star Wars channel. It still is. They can try to escape it, but you're still a Star Wars channel. I'm still a Star Wars fan. Star Wars is dead, but I'm still a Star Wars fan. At heart, I'm still a kid.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the people who lack the emotional intelligence or, anything else to understand that the things that they fell in love with, they are now disconnected from.
Yeah.
And in no way am I being insulting. All I'm saying is there are people out there who are glomming onto this sort of lowest common denominator entertainment, which I'm sick and tired of. And I feel like if Skeleton Crew can't rise to the level that it is uplifting and story building for kids, how could it possibly play on a secondary level for adults? Because that's what the show has to do. It has to play on multiple levels, and if it's really going to target the fans, it has a tertiary job, which the writers at Lucasfilm have proven they can't deliver.
Yeah,
I want it to be good. I want it to be
though. That's right. They're not even trying. That's not their purpose, right? Their purpose isn't to provide an entertaining story. That's not what they set out to do anymore.
Push their propaganda.
I want it to be good. See, John, and I think we all do at our core. It's just I think you're also right. Yeah, and I think they're incapable of delivering that, I think. But again, there are going to be people, even within our sphere, our fellowship, right, that are going to enjoy the show, perhaps, right?
Yeah.
It's just understand we're getting a lesser product. We deserve better. We've deserved better since the very first effort Disney made. The Force Awakens put a lot of people to sleep. Yeah. It was a repeat of it was a derivative. Thank you. A repeat of A New Hope. Right?
They shouldn't have to work that hard. Just like the CEO of Ubisoft just said about Star Wars Outlaws. Oh, you expect way too much out of us. Yeah. You need to chill with your expectations, culture, because you just expect too much out of a 4A company that sells the greatest video games of all time. You want too much.
I'm going to tell you right now, we've got agenda getting shoved into GTA 6, and we still don't know.
I spoke to one of the developers of GTA 6 over the weekend, who was there. I talked about that on Mr. H's stream yesterday.
I know. I remember. Yeah. You need to put a video together so that John can do a story about it.
Yes. Okay? My ears perked up there. And my eyes got bigger.
So me and I'll just tell you the story real quick. Me and Gary Ambrosia were out in the front of the hotel. I was out there burning one, and this guy comes up and was like, "Hey man, you care if I bum a smoke?" And I was like, "No, here you go." And I was just saying he had an accent, an Australian accent, and so I was like, "Oh, so I said, I'm guessing you're from Australia. Did you travel here to the con from Australia?" And he was like, "No, I actually live in San Diego. I'm a game developer for Rockstar Games. Actually working on GTA 6." I was like, "Really?" And so I was asking him about the backlash, some of the backlash that it's getting from the trailer and stuff. And he's like, we don't really pay attention to any of that. We don't really listen to any of that. He said, this game's going to be insane. And he started just hyping the game up. He was like, you're going to be able to go to the strip club and like make it rain on strippers. And we're doing all this crazy stuff. And he was trashing on Ubisoft, said that they're screwing up, that they're terrible, they suck. He was trashing on EA, but this GTA 6, man, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with this. This might be more of the same message pushing crap that we're getting in video games these days. Some more Sweet Baby Inc. type crap.
But he wasn't really saying that though, right?
No.
He said this game's gonna like blow your mind. We're doing so much cool stuff. Like people are gonna love it. He was, when you're in the forest, you can't see the forest through the trees. He's involved in the project directly. He's directly working on it. So, and he's already has a bias that this game's gonna be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And he admitted that they don't listen to all the noise and backlash that the game's getting from the trailer or anything. And he was basically just hyping.
I hear that from a lot of developers. There's lots of
Yep. But it was and he said a lot of other stuff about the game, but I can't remember because I'd been drinking a lot that day. And so I can't remember the whole conversation, but he was saying all kinds of stuff about it. But it was an interesting conversation for sure. But anyways, on to the next topic, guys. John Trent has this for us. New Nielsen data reveals the Wings of Power total minutes watched declined by over 26% as head of Amazon attempts to spin show as success. And I'm not going to go through the whole article. John, you tell me what you want to hit on or the main stuff that you wanted to talk about here. But I know that there's some rumors and some stuff going around that Amazon's wanting to actually buy Lord of the Rings.
It's not a rumor. The actual woman, Jennifer Salke, was asked about that, and she said that they are having discussions about it, potentially purchasing Middle Earth and Friends or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That Embracer Group is spinning that company out of, which holds, we know for sure, Lord of the Rings and Tomb Raider. I'm not sure what else it holds, but she did say that they are having talks about that, whether that's internal talks about it, whether that's talks with Embracer Group about it. It's unclear. We know that Embracer Group basically went on a fire sale over this past year, sold off Saber, which literally just made Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. They sold that off. They sold Borderlands. Gearbox back to 2K, who's the publisher. They shut down a bunch of things. They shut down Volition last year, so they are making a wholesale changes, radically restructuring their company. They did indicate that they weren't going to be selling anything else afterwards, but then like literally in the same month, at the end of the month, they're like, yeah, we're actually restructuring the entire company into 3 different companies now. So who's really sure what's really going on there? But she did say that they are having discussions. And as I said, we're not sure if that's with Embracer Group, whether that's inside Amazon MGM Studios, or what's going on there. But you can see here with the numbers that we did see in the last week, that which is, I think, is the second week it was on the Nielsen charts. It was at like 1 billion and 1.019 billion minutes watched. It's now declined to 747 million minutes watched. That is a decline of over 26%. So this is when I think the fourth or fifth episode premiered. And even if you compare that back to the first season, I think it's around 25% compared to the first season as well. Yep, 24.3% because the first season's fifth episode, so it was the fifth episode, was 988 million minutes watched. So we're seeing pretty big declines here, even from Nielsen. And even as now it's known here, Mac points out, you can see that the runtime there, obviously, for season 1 was a little longer than season 2. So it had, but it's only 10 minutes more per episode. Yeah. So, but that decline there, I mean, nearly 25%. So they clearly lost a lot of people here. And then you compare it to something like Reacher. Clearly, Reacher is way more people are watching Reacher than the Rings of Power here. And what's interesting, I think too, is how Salke is like talking about Rings of Power season 2. She keeps kind of walking around it. She keeps beating around the bush regarding whether or not they are actually going to greenlight a third season, or they're going to continue moving on. I mean, she does say here that they are going to continue with the 50 episode plan. It looks like there is no reason not to, but she doesn't officially say, yes, we have greenlit season 3. We're going to be start filming on this date, et cetera, right?
Well, they did a contract for 5 seasons, didn't they?
Yeah, it's 50 episodes. And I think they're doing like 10, but they're only doing like 8 episodes, I know. So I don't know, because they're only doing 8 episode seasons, but I think it's 50 episode contract. So maybe they'll have extra. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they'll reduce it to 24-minute long episodes. Or I wonder if that was in the contract, 50 episode hour per episode. I don't know if they specify the runtime for each episode in the contract, but
yeah, I don't know, but clearly the viewership is down. And then when you listen to how she's trying to like hype up this show, she's not even talking about views anymore. She's literally saying, like right here, if you scroll right up there, she says, obviously very different marketing levels and all of that to season 1. But that being said, over 55 million people at this point have engaged since season 2 launch. Well, what in the world does that mean? That's a new term.
Yeah. They clicked on it by accident and was like, oh, I didn't mean to click this. Back.
Well, she's literally talking about marketing levels, right? And then in the next sentence, she's saying 55 million people at this point have engaged. So does that mean that they were hit with an ad? Does that mean that they watched like the trailers on YouTube? They watched a clip on YouTube. They saw a clip on X. Like what does that mean? What is this engaged word mean? And then if you scroll down a little bit more here, you go underneath her picture, she kind of like gives away her own lie, which these people always do. It always astounds me how they like expose their own lies, like literally in like the same breath. But she says, and if you look at the long-term trajectory, which is how this company looks at an asset like that, this is a long-term investment in that franchise. So nothing, she doesn't really say anything there. But she says this: there's well over 150 million viewers watching and engaging with the show. So I feel really good. I think we all do. Well, what is it? You said 55 million with season 2, and now you're saying 150 million overall. So that means like you declined by 50%, right? I think that's I'm hard for me to do math in my head here, but I mean, 100 million, we're assuming they're 100 million first season. Then if season 2 is 55, so that's a huge decline from season 1 to season 2 if we're using her same term, viewed and engaged, right? So I think there's a lot of spin happening here. All the data points to people abandoning the show. I think it's having the same issues that Star Wars is having. If you look at the Illuminate data, which is a little bit different than Nielsen, but they actually had this show was performing worse than the Acolyte, especially if you factor in the runtimes, because the runtimes for the Rings of Power is a lot longer than the Acolyte. So I think there's a lot of shenanigans happening here. Valiant Renegade adding this here. Engage. What does that mean? I smell BS here. Yeah. 100%. Like what is happening here? Who knows? But if you scroll up just a little bit, keep going, scroll up above the picture here of the Hobbit, the not Hobbit, right? I don't know if they've actually admitted that they're Hobbits yet. But yeah, she is asked about the 50 episode commitment. And she says that commitment is never the thing that's driving what we're doing. We'll continue to make the show as long as we see global customers loving it and watching it to the point where it is a business. Obviously, we need a large amount of people showing up, and there are a large amount of people, so there's no debate. But it's interesting that she's pointing to the global audience. Obviously, Nielsen, Illuminate, Samba TV, etc. They're all tracking North America. So they're always pointing to this global audience where we don't really have the data to kind of like track that. We don't have these Nielsen numbers and things like that. So I think this is just obfuscation. I think Valiant is 100% right. There is a lot of shenanigans happening here. And I think that people are tuning this show out. And maybe there is some internal panic about that. And that's why we're seeing a lot of word games happening here.
I don't see how there can't be internal panic at this point. I don't see how there couldn't be internal panic after season 1. I mean, people are not happy with this show. I mean, the audience, I mean, there's literally people out there that are hate watching it to basically report on it, on how bad it is. So that's definitely some of the viewership numbers right there. But I
think that's even declined though. I mean,
yeah.
When I even look at you look at Gary's stuff and you compare his videos, like basically bashing the show compared to his videos, similar videos with season 1, I even think the viewership on those videos are down. Like people there's just complete apathy on this show on all fronts. Like people aren't even caring about people pointing out how bad it is.
Yeah. I mean, Mr. H was going to have me and Culture watch it, but thank God he didn't, because I was not looking forward to watching season 2 of this crap, because I couldn't even get through the second episode of season 1. Halfway through it, I was like, man, F this show. I just turned it off. Dude. I was like, I don't even want to finish this episode.
I watched the first episode of the second season, and I haven't watched anything since. And I just couldn't bring myself, because I was gonna do like this show, how this show is absolutely terrible and everything, and do all that stuff, and I couldn't bring myself to continue watching because it was so bad. I mean, they literally, I know if you've heard me talk about this, you've probably heard this before, but they literally turned Sauron into a black, like licorice spaghetti monster.
Yeah, that was like
literally slinkies down a mountain in some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so horrible. I was like, who thought this was a good idea? and then who actually approved it and put it in the show, allowed it to continue.
Yeah, it's terrible. Culture thoughts?
I think that anything they've ever done is basically trash. It's the shows that they don't touch that aren't as much trash. Anything that has Sulky's name next to it is they're definitely going to be trash. And she has self-inserted herself into this Rings of Power show. You can tell. Put her picture up against that of Moyfred Clark. What a messed up name that is, Moyfred. Anyway,
I think her name's, I think it's an Irish name.
It's Welsh, and it doesn't matter. It's a
Welsh.
dumb name. So anyway, if your name's Moyfred, maybe change it to something reasonable. But anyway, if you look at the two of those ladies side by side, you can tell that was a self-insert from the word go. These people are so narcissistic and driven by pure selfishness and cult-like behavior. You know, you end up with this stuff, a nonsensical show that leans into nothing that is actually Tolkien. You know, and even if they do manage to acquire access to the Middle Earth stuff through Embracer, I can't imagine they will resaddle the horse with anything that's actually properly Tolkien. They'll just be able to misuse the names. That's all. And the fact that they're... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, that's what they want to do, right? They're already doing it with this show. Why would they not do it with everything else? They just get access to more of that stuff that they can crap all over on and say, we are in charge. This is what it is now. You no longer have this. We are in control.
Yeah.
And we're going to break it, and you can't stop us. Like that's what the attitude of these people.
Yeah. Well,
somebody in chat was
it's the bully neighbor kid that comes over and breaks your toys. That's all these people are, right?
Yeah.
It's like you've got the best toys in the neighborhood. The kid comes over. He's not as cool as you. He's got terrible hair. He smells like cat pee. You know, he's got
it's Sid. It's Sid from Toy Story.
Basically, yeah. And he basically comes over and wrecks your toys because he's jealous of you, because you're a cool kid, because you got to these things before they did, because you made them popular, because they're your thing. So they come over purely to destroy your stuff. These are the people that you just recognize them for who they are. You know, they're the tool bags, the bullies that you could just, disregard, move on. They're going to end up, in trouble later in life. And I don't care how much money or positions of power these people are in. At a certain point in time, everybody finds their own bottom, because they didn't pay attention to what they did on the way up, and you usually get wrecked. So
yeah, evil usually it chews you up and spits you out after it's done with you.
Yeah. And somebody in chat was talking about the Wheel of Time, which was another really popular book series that Amazon did, and everybody was super excited about that, and that turned out to be trash, and they went against a lot of what was in the book and changed a lot of stuff, and people were infuriated about that. I remember when that came out, because I was like,
They
man,
literally had Perrin kill his own wife.
Yeah, like because
we didn't have.
Yeah, because I saw the trailer and I was like, wow, this actually looks like this might be kind of cool. And then I was like, but I'm gonna wait for the reviews, because I didn't read any of the books. I don't know how accurate it is. And then once it came out, man, I saw the backlash everywhere, and I was like, well, F that. I'm not freaking watching that show. So I highly recommend, guys, before you waste your time on shows, watch people like us and wait till we review it, and let us take the go through the suffering of having to watch some of this crap. Now some of it I just won't watch at all, but of course the Star Wars shows we're gonna have to watch. But Loki, quick thoughts on Wings of Power. I don't know if you heard any of the conversation or not. I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to add. You're muted.
Or muted. Yeah.
Amazon does not deserve to be running this property. Get it away from them. I pray they do not buy the rights to all of this, and we're stuck with more of this, because they're going to remake the trilogy. They'll probably remake The Hobbit. It's just bad. What they've already put out is so bad. I couldn't even get through the second season. I got through the first season.
No, I don't know how
somehow,
you
but I
did
couldn't
that.
get through the second season. It's bad. And this whole relationship with Galadriel and Elrond and them kissing, it's pretty much her son-in-law. He's gonna have to explain one day, hey babe, I made out with your mom once. Do you still want to get married? And they end up getting married. So what they've done to this property is they've trashed it. They've lit it on fire and they've trashed it. And they're just like, well, we're gonna do it in our own way. You know, forget what Tolkien wanted. Forget what Tolkien meant to do. Forget all of it. And we'll just rewrite history and do it our way. And this will be the new way. Please do not give them the rights to everything. Sell it to somebody else, please. Anybody besides Disney and besides Amazon right now, because this is just not working. They don't have the talent. I don't know who said that earlier. I think it was Culture who said they don't have the ability, they don't have the talent, they don't have the writers, they do not have the experience in the crew to do this. They had t-shirt chainmail armor in the first season. They had t-shirts that look like chainmail armor that they had them wearing. I mean, come on, man. They spent way more money on this than they did the original trilogy. And the original trilogy had metal armor. Just take a look at Boromir in the very first movie when they have the scene in Gondor that he's wearing that armor. You were supposed to believe that the highest evolution of elves and Numenorians were wearing t-shirt chainmail. I don't think so.
Yeah, the pinnacle of the Numenorian military that had Sauron's army flee for them. It looks like it does in the show. It's pathetic.
So bad. All right, let's see here. LR Dice, member for 27 months. This is why I follow you, EBN. Thanks for what you guys do. All the channels being transparent. Thank you and agree. Culture, Star Wars forever, but Star Wars is dead. We keep it alive in our own way. Apart from that, shout out to everyone. 100%. And LR Dice did make it out to Nashville this last weekend, so it's good seeing you out there, LR Dice. Good hanging out, and that's the one thing I like about Icon in Nashville is it's a convention by fans for fans that have OG actors and OG people that worked on the original trilogy and the prequel stuff. There's literally no sequel trilogy stuff there at all. I didn't see nobody cosplaying a sequel trilogy people or acolyte. Well, I take that back. I saw one acolyte witch that was cosplayed there. One, and that was it out of the entire
Which
con.
one was it?
It was the power of one.
Yeah, it was one it was like a random one. It wasn't like any of the main ones. It was just one that was in that sort of witch garments and stuff. But yeah,
one of the ones that was suffered from brain injury after Trinity decided to force nuke them or whatever she did.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a great con for OG Star Wars fans, and that's why we go there and make that our meetup every single year. Mr. Buttcrack Media, hell to you, good sir, has gifted one Echo Base Network membership. So if you receive that membership, be sure to thank Mr. Buttcrack Media for that. Darth Maul's lower half for €5. Everything is on Spectrum nowadays. Gender, morals, truth, nothing is clearly defined. Every line is blurred, and they are doing that on purpose. That is the point, is to blur those lines between reality and fiction, that some people want to live in, this fake, world reality that they're trying to push on everybody. So yeah,
well, just look at the orcs in Lord of the Rings. Look at the orcs and look what they're trying to do with the orcs. They want you to feel sorry for the orcs. They want you to know that the orcs are people just like you.
No, they're trying
families.
They're trying to elevate the evil. That's all they're doing. We've been calling this out since I entered this space. This has been a recurring theme from these people. And again, they're doing it in all of these properties. They are supporting evil. I know it sounds weird and it sounds insane maybe to some people, but that's all they do. First, you can definitely have an anti-hero. You can certainly prop up, the moments that the evil amongst us redeem themselves. I mean, Darth Vader and all that, but you can't just focus solely on the evil and trying to make them relatable and friendly to you. And, you need to understand why they're evil. No, I really don't. I pretty much know why they're evil. Thank you.
Cruella from
Culture.
101
Culture.
Dalmatian, they started putting a lot of focus on a lot of the villains and trying to, they're actually not that bad.
That started with Maleficent. That started with Maleficent. That's what I hated about the damn movie
it serves to function, guys. They can remain lazy because it's a character they already know, understand, and control. It's already developed, right? And the audience is familiar with it. I mean, this is peak lazy. Right. And plus it serves their evil agenda. We need to prop up evil and we need to show you evil is good. And John's being relatively quiet, which I don't understand. Normally John's like, I
mean, I know John.
I feel like I covered a lot of it. I mean, we talked about this with the clone trooper.
It seems like every single story we're bringing up has the elements of evil in it today. This is a lot of fun. What a great show.
They're doing, right? It's a vehicle for their propaganda. That's what these stories are, though, right? It's a vehicle for their propaganda, and their propaganda is evil. It is evil.
Yeah. Well, I mean, their story is evil. Their goal is evil. They like evil.
Yeah.
They're evil. Wow. We need to write a story or a book or something about this. Maybe people would believe it then.
Yeah, Graph Web for $2, the most consistent man on the interwebs. # cancel Disney Plus, or you could be like me and have never given Disney Plus a single cent of your money. But if you already have, then yes, cancel Disney Plus.
Some of the memes today are insane. I'm sorry, I accidentally went over to Twitter to make sure I didn't lose a bookmark. But anyway, man. Everything's on point today. Everything's on point.
If you want to just highlight Loki's point, I mean, I'm sure he's kind of referencing what Patton Oswalt did today.
I just saw that.
If you want to bring it up.
Yeah, let me Yeah, Patton Oswalt. God, this guy. What makes season 2 of the Wangs of Power deeper than season 1 is seeing the orcs mourn their dead, struggle to find a home in the world, and worry about their families. Make the battle sequences more exciting and heartbreaking. They're not just a faceless horde.
They're born out of the dirt.
Crying like,
they're born out of the dirt, full born. They're not born babies. They don't have babies. It's almost like they're a fungus that grows underground now. They are the evil. They are the elves, twisted and dark and evil. They do not have children like normal people. They do not breed like that. You saw what the Uruk-hai were in Two Towers, in Fellowship of the Ring. They are literally born out.
Elrond and Celebrian. There are orcs like they procreate as a organic life form, like as mammals would, right?
I wouldn't know. You guys know the lore way better than I do.
They probably are doing it through like assault and things like that, though, right? It's not like they have marriages and matrimony and things like that.
Little babies that they hold.
No, it's likely like survival of the fittest, and that's how it works.
All right, well, moving on. Last topic of the day, guys. Culture. What do you got for us, brother?
Well, fortunately, we have a brilliant mind among us. His name's John F. Trent. He works at That Park Place, and I get to, read his articles all the time because he fortunately writes about some gaming stuff. And every once in a while, I get to write an article and say dumb things. So, But Odd Tales founder is following in the footsteps of our friend Thomas Mahler, who seems to be calling out the people who are throwing hate at gamers. In fact, Tim Surratt applauds Moon Studios' Thomas Mahler's instruction to Kotaku senior editor Elisa Mercante. If you're unfamiliar with this, you can read the previous article that again, I think was written by John about the fact that Thomas Mahler basically responded to a person on Twitter who was spewing some hate as an authority, a person in authority argument she was making because she, quote unquote, worked on a given game, Ori. Well, she didn't really work on either of the games. In fact, Thomas Mahler is the of course also the game director for Ori, both games, and said, "I don't know who you are." So then,
Is that how you
of
say
course,
it, Ori?
I think so, Ori, yeah.
Oh,
And
it's
I think
not Ori. It's like
it might
Ori.
Stargate.
it might be Ori. It could be. I always have said I've always said Ori, so whatever. Come at me, bro. Come at me. Anyway,
I don't know. I'm
Well,
literally questioning. I said Ori.
Ori.
Ori in the morning. Ooh, rain. Anyway, back to this. Anyway, so Thomas Mahler had fired back at at Kotaku and said basically the same thing. So it's really funny. For whatever reason, Alyssa Mercante goes out of her way, and I said this in my video today. She goes out of her way to embarrass herself and Kotaku simultaneously at a time when they need to be off the radar as far as controversy goes, because the Deadline suit, not Deadline, Deadspin suit. Yeah, thank you. The Deadspin suit's moving forward like a trucking. It's just trucking through like a judge just said. Nah, we're not dismissing this. You're on the hook. You did some heinous crap.
City Chiefs kid that they painted as a racist.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah. So you're busted. So now, what's funny is this suit's going to be divided amongst the people who bought the name Deadspin because it died. It's dead. It's toast. And obviously, Go Media. So Go Media needs everybody that works for them to STFU because they're only going to get them in worse trouble. So, Alyssa Mercante decided to weigh in here. And again, Tim Surratt weighs in saying, you know what, Mahler, that's a good way to come at things. Mahler, however you want to say his name. So, again, it all started with Mahler made it clear that a woman who implied she worked on Ori and the Will of the Wisps did not work for Moon Studios at all. And when she responded back that she worked as an Xbox user research person and then deleted tweets around that, by the way, and then went private. Anyway, by the way, when you get called out for your bologna sausage, the pattern is to go private with all your stuff, which immediately the person was full of dookie in the first place. Anyway,
Star Wars Explained and Molly Damon.
Yeah. She's a pal. Yeah. So that could explain it. I don't want to cause you any trouble. I saw you posting that you worked on Ori, and I had no idea who you are. He added, since you're calling people names online, I thought it was important to inform people that you never actually worked for Moon Studios and that you didn't ever directly engage with anyone at Moon. Always be nice to people, Ray, even if even those you disagree with. So it was a very kind way of saying, lady, don't try to drag our name through, whatever agenda you're pimping. So wow. Alyssa Mercante chimed in, and I used a nice way of saying this. It called him a Richard head. I said that multiple times in my video, trying to clean up the language. Can't believe John printed it, and again, here it is in print again. I know he's trying to be, accurate, but my goodness,
she wrote. I don't. Is that a cuss word? I don't know.
I think so. I said Richard head. So anyway,
obviously it's an ad hominem and an insult, but
yeah. Oh no, and that was actually my whole rebuttal in the video, was the fact that the minute you start calling people names, you delineate very clearly that you have no argument. So anyway. So Alyssa Mercante said that. He responded back with, I don't know who you are. So it's like two people in a row. He's like going, who are you? Anyway, so Mercante then reminded him that she worked for Kotaku, who ran a hit piece by Ethan Gatch.
Gatch. I have no idea.
I don't care. I'm going to say it one more time. I don't care. Against Moon Studios and Mahler back in 2022. So Mahler then provided Mercante a masterclass on how video game development worked, which I thought was brilliant. And thanks for doing this verbatim, John. It was well done. And he talks about bringing in, talented professionals, hiring the best and the brightest, using merited people to create the best experience, and how the creative process works, which she doesn't seem to understand.
Discussions back and forth.
Yeah, and arguments. And I've been in a few of those where you're throwing things at each other, even sometimes, like pencils and Ferris markers and stuff. So, but anyway,
game development should go.
That's right. it's like, well, yeah, well, we're going to settle this in the arcade. That I actually watched that happen in a game studio one time. That was back in the 90s, kids. So,
I was getting ready to say that's probably the 90s.
Yeah, it was. So it was a game of cyberball that actually they like settled an argument. So, anyway, so absolutely every now and then I have to put my foot down and set the direction because I'm the game director, and ultimately it's my responsibility to ensure that everyone knows where things are heading and how and get that decisions get made. Yes, that's what the director is for. You can have all this discussion, but there has to be one point of contact, one point of creative position, and that person's word is law. At the end of the day, you can argue all you want to with that person, but their decision stands, and they are the reason that things either are successful or they fail. So anyway, so he just kind of broke it all down for her, and even showed her an example where Miyamoto was guilty of the same thing and sent her like a link to it. So, I mean, this is great. And John, of course, linked the link because John's a consummate professional in urinalism. Anyway, Mahler then posited that this article was likely influenced by a number of disgruntled employees who were let go. A few years back, we hired some folks that didn't really fit our culture, so we had to part ways with them. And then this article happened. It wasn't a great feeling to see some ex-Moon folks talk badly behind our backs, but ultimately, it just made it clear that these folks shouldn't have worked at Moon in the first place. And I hope they're happier now wherever they landed. This is a dude that is a professional. He understands media, and he knows how to come across as the good guy. So I love that. Then Storit showed up and reacted to Mueller's instruction to Mercante writing, perfect reply from legendary co-founder of Moon Studios to the worst kind of journalist. Boom shakalaka. Oh,
she's getting destroyed.
Dude, epic bird, right?
Well, wait, I thought Kotaku was changing and they were just going to be doing
game guides
and stuff and getting at all this. It's funny how that's never stopped. It's been going on the whole time.
As long as she's there, it will.
Yeah. Well, and I go ahead.
I don't know if Culture was going to make this point or not. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of him here, but I think like the biggest point and probably the main reason why I wrote this is that not only are we seeing Thomas Mahler kind of speak out about this, he's obviously a video game developer, but we're seeing other video game developers start to speak about this now. And I think that is a massive, massive shift in the culture. Because when was the last time we really saw these kind of video game developers kind of say no to these woke ideologues like Alyssa Mercante that are literally trying to bring down the video game industry?
I think you're seeing that more frequently, John. I mean, if you take a look at what just happened with Saber Interactive and obviously the Warhammer game, right? And some other things, I think we're starting to see it because the mid-level developers, not the true independents, but the mid-level folks, they are definitely like, no, we need to make money. We have to employ our family, or we have to feed our family. We have to employ our employees. We need to be successful. So you can take your bad ideas. We're not signing any of these pledges to, fall into BlackRock's, checkbook. We're going to do our very best to, fund our games the old fashioned way, make our games successful so we can self-fund. And I think that's really the only way to go about it in the game industry. And again, I mean, maybe make some friends with some of these producers in Hollywood who are no longer going to underwrite the people that are attacking Israel right now. I'm sure they would be glad to help you fund your video game since there's more money in games than there is in film and television.
Yeah.
Anyway, regardless, so Tim Surratt says, perfect reply. I already read that. And then followed up with, compared to music or cinema, game journalism tends to be extremely hostile towards its creators, stemming from a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of the creative process and sometimes the sacrifice with which you have to make. I added that little bit at the end, but there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into developing a game. I know this. I way back in the day, I did some voice acting on a couple of things for a game and software studio. So I can just say this. There is a lot at stake and a lot that you have to sacrifice in order to make things happen. There are late, sleepless nights, sometimes consecutively. There is and this is going way back into the 90s, kids. This is like early 90s. I was grinding. So I'm just telling you that, that while I was in college, I was, helping on some stuff, and I can tell you that I experienced it. So I know it exists. I also know that that exists in any creative endeavor, and it even exists in any business. How do I know? Because I have had multiple businesses that I've owned in my lifetime, and I can tell you sometimes sacrifice is required. Sometimes intense effort is required. And sometimes as the boss, you have to, even take the brunt of all of the damage that's coming your way. So anyway, that's my final word. What do you guys think about the Odd Tales founder, Tim Surratt, coming after Alyssa and her silliness?
I absolutely love it. I saw this kind of going down out there on Twitter, and I was just rolling. I was like, man, this dumb bee is getting destroyed out there because she has sucked for a long time. Kotaku has sucked for a long time. Like literally, they get trashed on all the time. So anytime some of these dumb bees come out and start talking nonsense, they always get clapped back. Then they always start deleting tweets, privating their accounts. It happens all the time, and I love to see the destruction and people come back at them with facts. Absolutely love it. Loki, thoughts?
Man, the gaming industry, what Culture said is absolutely positively 100.
Uh-oh.
Well,
Loki went into the void.
Yep, Loki froze up.
Race Culture got shut down.
Yeah, Loki,
Well,
if you can hear
that
us,
makes sense,
you're
right?
froze up. But John, thoughts?
Yeah, I think I kind of gave my thoughts a little bit earlier. But I'd love to see the pushback from more and more video game developers kind of saying no to this stuff, standing up, speaking out against it, and are just not going to kind of put up with it anymore. So I love to see it.
Yeah, same. What's this that you sent in private chat?
So I don't know.
Here, hang on.
Yeah, so I have it on my radar. I haven't gotten to it yet, but Kim Belair basically did an appearance at this like XO festival, and she gave like a 20-minute presentation where she's just basically trying to say how she's not. I haven't like watched it, but I assume I watched a little bit of it. But she opens
We're under attack.
The video. She opens the video by saying, what did she say? Hold on, I want to get this correct because I don't want to like speak out of turn on this one. I actually want to. What did she say? She said she introduces herself as a quote relatively nice person. Like, that's how she introduces herself to this presentation. And I think if you're having to introduce yourself as that, you probably aren't. And I think we have enough evidence to show that she's not. She's literally tried to run campaigns to get Caboodle Rambo canceled. She's done it behind the scenes. She's fake nice. She tries to put on this veneer while she's stabbing you in the back behind the scenes.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, it's basically her trying to gaslight everyone that Sweet Baby Inc. really isn't doing what they're doing.
Of course not. Of course not. Don't look what this hand is doing, while I'm doing something with this one over here. Like, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain over there off to the left,
I did see that Stuttering Craig shared like a clip from the presentation where she's calling Elon Musk a buffoon. It's just like, you literally like just can't make this stuff up here. And the only reason why she's saying that is because he said DEI kills art in response to Assassin's
He's 100% right.
Yeah, and he is right. Yeah, and I mean, remember, she probably worked on Shadows. We know that she was a former Ubisoft employee. We know that Ubisoft was listed on Sweet Baby Inc.'s website, which they have completely scrubbed, completely redesigned the website, removed their client list. They only highlight a certain number of projects on there now, and they've removed a lot of their agenda that they were previously had no issues saying that's what they were doing. They've removed all of that now. I think.
Yeah, I saw Mr. H put a video out on that today. Yeah,
I think they're in a very desperate situation, despite what she's previously said, where these companies are still working with her. I think that that's probably not the case. I think companies are distancing themselves from Sweet Baby Inc. Unfortunately for them, I'm not sure if they've gotten the right message. Very similar to what you in Culture we're talking about regarding Lucasfilm and the message that they've gotten from there. Maybe I'm thinking about something else. Maybe I'm thinking about Indiana Jones, where they're like, "Whoa, the lesson they learned from Solo was, oh, we can't recast." Well, that's the completely wrong lesson they took from that. And I think a lot of these video game companies are probably learning the wrong lesson here. Is like, oh, just don't associate with Sweet Baby Inc. and we'll be okay. We can still be doing what we're doing, but that's not the case. The Sweet Baby Inc. is the example of the fact that you should not be embracing woke ideology. The fact that you're hiring Sweet Baby Inc. is the problem in the first place, because you shouldn't even be hiring a company that is trying to push this agenda. It's the agenda that we are opposed to, not necessarily the people like Kim Bel-Air and Sweet Baby Inc. They're obviously part of the agenda. They're pushing the agenda, and we oppose them because they're part of the agenda. But it's the agenda at large, and it's not just these specific people.
Yeah. So real quick, while we were at Icon last week, Gary Ambrosia, we were doing these room sales that they have in the hotel, where you basically walk the hotel floors, and people have their hotel doors open with tons of merch out there, and like toys and all different kinds of stuff, video game, I mean, comics, everything. And you basically go to all these rooms and hit these
Like
room sales
in a hotel. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. And so I put this and then put the hashtag Solo lost money. So here's the original Falcon from the OG trilogy, priced at $50. The Falcon from the sequels, $40. The Falcon from Solo, $10. Yeah, they just
can you not even like take a hammer to the one from Solo and like fix it? Take a little saw and like cut out that cargo section or whatever, and do all the other whatever else you have to change it.
Yeah, I mean, you probably could. You could probably take a saw to it and make it into the actual Falcon. But yeah, you know, and the thing is, the reason Disney did that is because they didn't want to use the original design of the Falcon, because guess what? They can alter it and then they can sell more toys and be like, this is our version of the Millennium Falcon for this movie. This is how it used to look. And now we can make a brand new toy and sell it. But they're all stupid. Anyways, guys, that is going to do it for today's show. I know we went a little over, started a little late, but you know, it is what it is. We had fun. Hope all you guys did as well. Culture, tell everybody what you got coming up.
Well, I'm going to be doing more videos, so check out my channel. You want to check them out? I've got a decent chunk of viewers out there. We're trying to get to 50K. John's doing everything he can to make sure I don't get there. What? I'm just kidding.
All these backhanded comments. He praises me and then he insults me. What am I supposed to? What's happening here? What's happening here?
That was a joke. You should know that. I love you deeply, and do check out that gameplays. Occasionally, John does stuff with us over there. I'm trying to get Nick to do something over there, but he doesn't seem like he cares about video games all that much. So
I do. I just did a video on our channel about Alien Isolation too.
So thanks for doing that with me. I really appreciate it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
Look, if there's anything Final Fantasy VII related, Aliens related, God of War, Uncharted. I mean, dude, I love video games. I was actually logged into my brother's account, helping him farm and level up his characters in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Because he's still going through the game.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, just cheat away.
Yeah,
that's great.
So I'm doing a lot of the boring grind work because he's married with 2 kids and has a full-time job and has a lot of stuff.
What's wrong with you?
I'm not married with. I'm married. No marriage, no kids, no nothing.
Yeah, dude, step up. Start working on that. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life?
Wasting time with. You're
gonna be lonely, dude. Come on now. Gotta fire. Get meet a good woman. Fire out some puppies. That's what.
Well, that's the problem. The good woman part. I have no problem finding a woman. It's just fine.
Okay, so there is a look, dude, you want to avoid. It's the crazy eyes thing.
Yeah.
You know, look for that look that Julia Roberts has, and you'll avoid that, and you'll be good.
Yeah.
Julia Roberts?
Anyways,
Wow, is that where we're going? I would think what's her name? Jennifer Lawrence might be more appropriate.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like, you know, if anybody could fix Jennifer Lawrence, it'd be Nick. So I'm just saying.
yeah.
What's the Game of Thrones chick? She's pretty insane too. The redhead.
Oh,
Yeah, Sophia, Sophie Turner. Yeah, she dumped the nicest man in the world in the Jonas Brother, and just like
She
what?
did?
Yeah, they're done
already.
Oh, yeah,
Wow,
done. It's done.
Oh, that was fast.
Yeah. They
broke
basically just she fired out a puppy, and then hung up her shoes to go bang dudes. So
Jeez.
yeah.
Well, that actually is not surprising whatsoever, given all of her insanity. So
Yeah.
John,
Shame.
you don't keep up with all this TMZ stuff. Come on now. Come on.
No.
Yeah, John, what do you got going on? Tell the folks what you got coming up.
Similar to culture, got new videos up on the Trent Report, usually every single day, probably except for Sundays. Just got a video up recently about what's happening with CD Projekt Red, and how the CEO is basically lying about the company's DEI agendas and everything like this, and how they're hiring and claiming they just hire on talent and merit when they have literally a diversity inclusion department in their company. And it's literally on their website that they have equity programs, and they are all on board with this like Poland diversity charter thing. And they're one of like the founding signers and all this stuff. I mean, you can't like make this stuff up, dude. These people literally just lie to your face and think that you're gonna like just suck it down and guzzle it and be like, "Oh, thank you for lying to me."
Yeah, we don't have an anti-white, program. Come on now. Come on. No anti-white.
They literally have a scholarship program that excludes men, and you're gonna tell me you hire on merit and talent. No, you do not. Stop it.
Yeah.
So, and then there's so much. I didn't even cover some of this stuff about the engine and how like they're struggling, and you literally have people who used to work there have said this in interviews, and this guy's literally just trying to gaslight people. It's the custodies were always female all over again. The boldness that these people have to just straight up lie to you is astounding, and it makes me question. Obviously, I just talked about how they're pushing this agenda. It's all about using it as a vehicle, but I do question, like, do you believe your own lies? Like, do you even realize that you're lying? I mean, some of these people, like, I get it that they clearly are, they clearly do, but hold on one second. Sorry about that. That's the Imperial March there. Did you guys hear that? I don't know if you could.
Nope.
Oh no, I didn't hear anything.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, well,
no.
Sorry. My phone was going off. That's my ringtone, is the Imperial March.
Sweet.
But yeah, I mean, these people just straight up lie, and I think they sometimes get like I think culture might say this a lot, like sniffing their own farts and everything. So it's just absolutely wild. I think they do believe their own lies at some point, or the reality, their vision has been so warped that they no longer see the truth. I mean, this guy's the CEO of the company, and he's going to say this and think people aren't going to like go to his website and see that it's not true.
Yeah.
I John, the thing that's bothering me the most is I'm like, dude, and I said this. I actually responded to his tweet. I was like, dude, we're going to take all your statement here. We're going to archive it. And then we're going to turn it back on you when you drop your next game. And it isn't going to look good for you. It's going to look very bad, especially since you're leaning into all this stuff. It's the same thing with Ubisoft. I mean, Eve and Adam and Eve, or whatever that guy is over at Ubisoft. The Guillemot family, the Guillemots, the Guillemots. Yeah, they aren't looking very good either, and now they're being investigated by the French government. So I can't wait for that story to get more coverage.
As they should. I mean,
interesting.
Like the AJ Investments accusations are serious. Like they're talking about stock manipulation and everything. Like those are serious allegations.
Yep.
Yeah. We had Mexican Iron Man snuck in here with a member for 45 months. Hell do you Good, sir. Good to see you, Mike. Monday is now Indigenous Peoples Day. So for reparations, I want to know how much money EBN, that Park Place and Culture Casino, will be paying me because Hilton Head Mexican Daddy needs a new yacht boat.
Mikey, my growth ceased. Like I was doing great, and then you undermined my channel and called me out saying I didn't appreciate my diverse patrons like
your
yourself.
Cultural appropriation is noted and rejected. This is an Italian household here. This is a member of the Knights of Columbus. We still respect Columbus Day. We honor him. We note his achievements of bringing Christianity to the New World, and we will continue to honor and respect Christopher Columbus and everything he did for this country, as well as Spain and the Italian people.
Yeah, what John said, Mike. But I will throw a nickel in your tip jar. Hell to you, Mexican Iron Man. Always good to see you, brother. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for us here for another EBN Cast, episode 29, next Friday. 30 episodes in next Friday. Hope you guys all had fun. Smash that like button on your way out. Until the next. Oh, and real quick, we are going to be getting Coach's machine reloaded.
Reload.
Yeah. We are going to get it reloaded, and he is going to. Oh, Loki's calling me. You're on stream, Loki.
Hey, my internet's down. I'm still down.
Yeah, we figured when you froze up, but we're wrapping up right now. But it's all good, brother. Just holler at me later.
I will. Hey, we are EBN.
Yeah. Yep. Bye. So yeah, links to these guys' channels are in the description below. All of you should definitely be sub to all of them and have that Park Place bookmarked on your web browser. But we are going to get Coach's computer reloaded, and he is going to install Alien Isolation and go through that. So Loki's not doing a late night stream tonight, so we might be going live, and while Coach goes through Alien Isolation for the first time because he's never played the game. And it's the best, in my opinion, it is the best Alien game ever made. So stay tuned for that. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for us here. Until next time, you are Echo Base Network. Bye, guys.